Hey guys, it's Kyle Thompson here with eXp Realty, bringing you another weekly market update, and this week we're going to be focusing on single-family dwellings. My apologies that this came out so late. I was out of town for a few days, so this was the quickest I could get to it. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, starting off big picture. Last month we had 239 new listings, 87 sales. The average list price was $858,711. The average sale price was $832,183. The average sale price to list ratio was just over 97. Average days on market was 41.79, and we ended the month with an inventory of 462 units. So let's jump over and take a look what that does for the market conditions. I like to use both the monthly supply of inventory method as well as the sales to new list ratio, as I find using both measurements gives a more complete picture of what's going on the market. With that said, using the monthly supply of inventory method, we came in at 6.04 months, which puts us just into a buyer's market. If we use the sales to new listing ratio instead, we came in at 36%, which also puts us into a buyer's market. Now, let's jump over and take a look at the active inventory last month. So in May, we had an increase in new listings rising from 225 up to 239 month over month. However, new sales fell from 92 down to 87, and expireds rose from 18 to 21 month over month. And the benchmark price for a home in Kamloops rose $9,800 from $670,900 up to $680,700. Now let's take a look at the end of month inventory. Last month, we ended the month with 462 units, which is the highest this time of year going back to 2018. And currently we are sitting about 19% above the 10-year average of 389. If we take a look at new listings instead, we see that so far year to date, there's been 915 new single-family dwelling listings, which is the highest year to date going back to 2016. And currently we are sitting about 10% above the trailing 10-year average of 829 units. If we look at units sold instead, we see that so far year to date, there's been 338, which is the lowest year to date going back to 2020, which of course was the pandemic. And outside of that, we've just been having absolute abysmal year. Currently, we are trending 27% below the trailing 10-year average of 465 units. Now let's jump over and take a look at the sales dashboard, starting off with the average sale price. This table is measuring a full year over a full year, and when looked at that way, prices are up about 2.86%, with most areas of town being up on the year. Currently, the most expensive areas of town are Sun Peaks, Tobiano, and Sun Rivers, with an average sale price ranging between $1,073,000 all the way up to $1,744,000, whereas the cheapest areas of town are Cherry Creek, Pritchard, and Paul Lake, all with an average sale price ranging anywhere from $459,000 up to $541,000. Now let's take a look at the sale to list price ratio. All this is a measurement of how much properties are selling below the list price on average. So it is a proxy for how much negotiating room you have when you are the buyer. With that said, last month there was a slight increase from 96.94 up to 97.06, meaning that there is slightly less negotiating room on average when you are the buyer. Now let's take a look at sales by sub area. Once again, this table is year over year, so full year over full year. And when looked at that way, sales are down about 3.37%, falling from 950 down to 918. The areas that are doing well and which ones are struggling is a bit of a mixed bag. So if you would like to take a closer look, feel free to pause the video. I'm going to move on to average days on market, starting off with the 10-year. So far, year to date, it's taken an average of 44 days for properties to sell, which is pretty well online. We're within like 2% of the trailing 10-year average of 43. If we take a look at the trailing 12 months instead, we see that in May, it took an average of 42 days for single-family dwellings to sell, which is about 14% below the trailing 12-month average of 49. Finally, let's take a look at days on market by sub-area. Once again, this table is measuring a full year over a full year, and when looked at in aggregate, detached homes are taking about 8% longer to sell than they were the year prior, and currently the fastest selling areas of town are Knutsford, Sahali, Dufferin, and Westmont, all with an average days on market under 40, ranging anywhere from 31 up to 39 days, whereas the areas taking the longest to sell are Paul Lake, Sun Peaks, and Red Lake, with an average days on market ranging from 107 up to 158 days. That's all we have for today. I really hope that you guys are continuing to get value out of these market updates. If you are, consider liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel. And if there's ever anything you want added to these market updates, or maybe something that needs to be more thoroughly explained, please feel free to leave your comments or your suggestions in the comment section below, and I'll get to them as soon as I'm able. I appreciate you taking the time, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.